Hi, and welcome along to the weekend roundup. It's actually Tuesday. We are coming to you a day late because we thought we'd... I don't know why they did this, right? But they thought they'd include the Arsenal game from last night.
I bet you're glad they did, Rob. I bet you're glad they did.
Yeah. Not only did it mean that I've had to wake up really... I didn't get until 5 o'clock this morning. You've done that journey many a times.
Yeah, many a times, mate. I hate it.
Right, and
it's not only that. It's walking up the stairs there, man.
Oh, my God. Oh, my... You know what? Because we've had... obviously, we've had COVID and that.
Yeah.
And we ain't been there for a couple of years, innit? Yesterday, I was walking up those stairs, man. When I got to the top, right, I said, you know what, Robbie? Now that the season's come to an end.
Get on a fitness plan.
Gym.
Yeah.
Gym.
I'm
those
with
stairs,
you,
man. Those stairs, I'm telling you. Anybody who's been to Newcastle away, I still don't know as well how they're able to get away with that. Because you know what it annoys me a bit. I'm going to have a little rant now at Newcastle because it annoys me a bit. Because
they've got dispensation.
They're allowed to put fans right up there. Nobody else in the Premier League does that. Everybody else.
It's only them and Man United who've got dispensation. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But the rule is now you should have
I think it's something to do with the disabled fans.
Yeah,
like
that's
Man
correct,
United.
yeah.
But even the United one is not that high.
No.
You're still, the one that you're like literally, you're looking down. It's like you're in a different part of the stadium high up, looking down at the rest of the stadium.
When I was 10 stone heavier, I walked up them stairs once, right? I remember walking up them stairs. I thought I was going to die, Rob. And then my ticket, I was in like double X or something, right at the top.
Right at the top.
Honestly, mate, I thought I was going to die that day. You know what I mean? Like, sort it out, Newcastle. Come on, man.
Sort it out, Newcastle, man. Not only did you thrash us, but you made us go all the way up them stairs as well. But I have to say, it was a brilliant atmosphere there. Brilliant atmosphere from the Arsenal fans who travelled in massive numbers on a Monday night. And a fantastic atmosphere from the Newcastle fans as well. And they thoroughly deserved their win. Well done to them. And it's not a Steve Bruce team no more. I'll tell you what, They're a very good side. And they thoroughly deserved the win. Arsenal, on the other hand, what was that? I mean, I was angry after the game, after looking at the performance. I saw Granit Xhaka's interview. He was angry, talking about if players can't handle it, they should stay home and things like that. Maybe they should all have stayed home because it was just a really, really poor performance, dominated in absolutely every... I mean, they say in football, win your battles. We didn't win any. We didn't win any battles in that game. And we looked like the team that were on the beach, nothing to play for. And they looked like the team that was going for a top 4 place, and we've blown it. Arsenal blown it.
Yeah, I watched the game. Arsenal weren't good, and we was just talking about this off air, Rob. I think you've suffered the way we've suffered with the January signings because you know, as I said, managers in the positions we was in, because at one time we was, up to a few weeks ago, we was battling for top 4 as well.
Yeah. And
you get this point in the season, and you see it in Man City the other day when we played them. You see it in even Liverpool. I mean, they're and they've got vast squads.
Yeah.
You need something, if not just to counter the loss of form of players like us with Mikel Antonio, but to change it up a little bit. In the Premier League, people work you out, and what I've seen of Arsenal of late is there's a lot of talent, not a lot of fight. And I don't think that comes from experience. A lot of kids in there, a lot of not experience. And what Newcastle identified from Arsenal last night is if we get at them early, they could crumble, and that's what happened because they was at you from minute one up until the goal, and beyond that they was just on everything. They've got a little bit of an uplift in form as well, but it's got to come down to recruitment. You was in a serious position even up to a couple of weeks ago of getting that Champions League football. It's huge for Arsenal. If they'd have bought someone, Bruno,
Bruno, that's the thing. Bruno Guimaraes, who last season we were in for, he was interested in the move. We didn't. We divvied around, didn't pull the trigger. You see the quality of this guy since he's been into Newcastle. He's been absolutely exceptional. Arsenal, like you said, been suffering. With, like you said, exactly what West Ham did.
Yeah.
Right. The reason why West Ham probably are not in the Europa League final is because they just didn't have the squad to cope on both levels. You guys didn't buy anybody in January. We didn't buy anybody in January, despite Mikel Arteta and Edu at the club saying that we desperately need to bring in a midfielder and a striker, and they didn't get either.
No.
So basically, what that tells me is it's a gamble. You're now gambling. You're now thinking, right, hopefully we can get to the end of the season with this thin squad. The players that have been injured for Arsenal, absolute key players. What players that, if you had those last night, you know, Thomas Partey, Kieran Tierney, you know, you saw Tomiyasu, who's been excellent for us this season, but was hardly figured since January.
Yeah. Come on, White was playing with
injured. Ben White and Gabriel were both injured. Yeah. None of them trained. They only literally at the last minute, when I saw the team sheet, I was thinking neither of them were going to play. When I saw the team sheet, they had to play because there's nobody else. And it showed. We were just so flat. And then I was chatting to a friend of mine who actually works at Arsenal today, and he said to me, Robbie, he goes, it was men against boys, right? And I said to him, I go, well, actually, if you check it out, it's been men against boys all season, but the boys we've got have been excellent.
Yeah.
In Martinelli and Saka and Smith Rowe. But like you said, over the period of a season, they run out of steam. And one of the things that Arsenal don't have are those world-class experienced players. I look at the Champions League the other day when, Real Madrid won that game. Look at some of they got the game changers. They've got these guys like Benzema's and Modric and these guys. They've been around the block and they're world-class. And they're that additional bit of quality, aren't they, that can turn a game. And then they're bringing youngsters on. And then when the youngsters come on, they impacted the game. So Camavinga came on. Rodrigo came on. These young guys hungry. So you've got to have that mix. And Arsenal all season have been relying on kids and they've run out of steam. But fair play to Newcastle. I thought they were superb. And you know what? I was chatting to Matty last night up there. Obviously, he was very, very happy.
Did he do his forfeit?
He ain't done his forfeit yet. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to make sure that forfeit is something terrible. Terrible, right? But he was obviously very happy. He was sporting his Bruno Guimaraes, Joe Linton haircut. And he was saying that, he goes, well, you know what? If this is what's the competition for the top four, I'm pretty confident over the next couple of years with additions that we'll make that we'll get it. And that's the thing, isn't it? That teams like Arsenal, teams like West Ham, teams like Manchester United need to worry about now. Because Newcastle, they've got a good manager in now. They've got a few good players. They're getting confidence. The fans, that's the other thing I found yesterday. Normally, when you go up to Newcastle, as soon as you hit there, it's bare moaning. Mike Ashley, this, that.
Yeah.
When I went there last night, they were buzzing. Every single fan I met, they were absolutely buzzing. After the game, they were buzzing. They sense there's something special starting to happen at Newcastle. And I'll tell you what, they're going to be big competition to all of the teams around them.
I think that's why this was so important for Arsenal to get the top four this season, because there's going to be more competition. I mean, let's be fair, Robbie, when it comes to Premier League places. These places are getting bought now. And if you ain't got that, that money to compete with them places, you're going to find yourself on the wrong end of dropping out. When you look at the money that Manchester United can spend if they want to spend, and they have spent. They haven't spent it right, but they're looking to rebuild now. Newcastle, Manchester City, Chelsea could have. Can they in the future? I don't know. Probably Tottenham could spend a few quid now. They've had a couple of seasons and not really spending much. But there's so many teams that can't. Liverpool don't really spend much, but they recruit right. There's, them places are getting bought up, and teams like us, we're going to end up dropping out unless we start to show a little bit of willing. And Arsenal are the same. I think we're very similar in the terms of how we conduct our business. Our two clubs, they don't like to spend. They like to think. We'll see what happens. We'll see if we can get through this one, and then we'll pull the trigger. Very.
Well, we've seen what happened. Both teams have fallen at the last hurdle. When you think about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you can date both of it going back to January with both teams where your fans are saying strengthen, our fans are saying strengthen, and they didn't. Yeah.
We're on a bit of a different trajectory though, because we're on the up. And Arsenal. They trying to get back there. They've already been there We've never really been there. So it's important for a club like Arsenal. It's because of the attractive of the play. Look, let's be honest, Rob. Players are attracted to not only club history now. You know, a lot of these players, when you think about when they join your clubs now, they don't know Arsenal or West Ham or you know, but they do look at what's going on, what's going to happen in the future, and they like a pound note. and that's the way it is. That's the way our league competes. I think football will slide again because what's happening in the world at the minute. You know, look at Erling Haaland. He's you know, I know he's gone for a low fee, but he's talking about 400, 500,000 pounds a week. We can't keep on paying these players this, otherwise we'll end up having to pay 500,000 pounds for a season ticket. You know, there is going to be a dip, but at the moment, why these billionaires, trillionaires, whatever you want to call them, are investing in clubs, then places are getting bought. And we unfortunately can't compete with that.
Yeah. Let's go into some of the super chats. There's loads of them coming in. Todd Miller says, did Newcastle get fourth after that match? Shocking how Chelsea lost 4-2 to that club. Chelsea is Team Pookie. Sorry, Arsenal is Team Pookie in the next match. Rangers tomorrow as well. Rangers, of course, playing the Europa League final. Mark T says, simple story. We lost Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who's an Arsenal fan, and Chambers, but we never replaced them. That's true. But they could have played centre-back and in midfield. We don't have experienced players plus depth. January transfer killed our top four fight. And Anthony Gaming says, next season, Arsenal will win the Europa League. Manchester City will win the Champions League. Well, let's see.
It's not so easy.
It's not easy. You know what? That Europa League is a really weird competition, right? Because you could be going along nicely in it. I've seen it with Arsenal. You can be going along nicely with it, and then all of a sudden, up pops, teams like Atletico Madrid dropping out of the Champions League, and all of a sudden, what you was looking at and thinking, we can win this, then you see some mega obstacles in your way.
Not only that, Rob, I went to Germany last week, and the occasion killed us. They're hostile places, and when you haven't got a lot of experience in there, you've got kids like Saka and Smith Rowe playing. They're hard places to go to, and it's easy to freeze in them games.
Very, very. And every time you play one of those teams and I can say from experience in travelling to loads of these games in Europe, every time you play these teams, it's like their cup final.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You're a scalp. You are a mega scalp. So they're up for it.
Yeah.
I remember going to play Rennes, I think it was a couple of seasons ago. And it was the atmosphere was unbelievable. The place was, I hadn't even heard of Rennes hardly before that. And I remember I saw a guy, and he said to me, he goes, Robbie, literally the whole town is here for this game.
Yeah,
He goes, this is their biggest game ever. Ever, he said. So,
and it's a chance for the players to put themselves in the shop window as well, because the world is watching. The world is watching Arsenal. The world is watching Manchester United. The world is watching Chelsea. The world ain't watching Rennes.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Earth Extremities says, if Arsenal beat Everton and for some unknown reason Spurs lose to Norwich, that would be very strange. They're not going to lose to Norwich. Touching on Tottenham then. Tottenham, of course, the other team going for the top four place. They needed to win on Sunday to put pressure on Arsenal. They did win. 1-0, a penalty which was very controversial. Another one for Tottenham. Again, another team that looked very flat, not at their best. They were at home. Very fortunate to get away with the win, but they got the win. And, whether you think it was a penalty or not. I mean, what did you think? Did you think that was a penalty?
No.
You didn't?
No, I didn't think it was a penalty.
There's a lot of people saying that under the new rules, those get given.
Yeah, but I've seen them given and I've seen them not given. I've seen more not given than given.
Yeah, I've seen those. I was surprised that VAR intervened with that one,
Yeah.
Because the referee on the pitch didn't give it.
It wasn't clear and obvious, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was a penalty, but, that's if buts and maybes, isn't it?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they got it given. And they won the game. As you said, they wasn't at their best, which could give you slight hope, because Tottenham have got a history of feeling the pressure in these games.
They're not gonna lose to Norwich.
Norwich have listen.
Norwich.
I went to Norwich the other week and we battered them, but since then they've had a little bit of an upturn, like a draw away to Wolves. And sometimes, Robbie, like I'm just trying to tickle your
Don't
biscuit
bother.
here a little bit,
Don't
mate.
tickle. I don't want no tickling.
But when a team goes down last day, they feel no pressure. Stranger things have happened. Look at QPR and Manchester City. Manchester City were going for the title. QPR nearly cost them that title.
Nearly.
QPR
Nearly.
Yeah, but QPR were down by a long shot. Listen, there's still hope. Football is a strange
If there's
game.
any team that could mess it up, it is Tottenham. But I just feel that under Antonio Conte, they're a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they don't have to win the game; they could draw the game as well.
Yeah.
So I think they will get the top 4, and I think overall they're going to deserve it because they've got the slightly stronger team in the fact that they've got Harry Kane.
He's done a fantastic
and
job,
their managers come in and he stabilised them from the position that they're in. So they're probably going to deserve to get it, but we'll wait to see what happens on Sunday. Who's going to win the league, though? That's the big one we're going to touch on right now. Let me just do this last super chat here before we go on to that. Anthony Gaming 67 says, my Aussie Rules football team lost last week. Fremantle Dockers. I know how you feel about Arsenal losing. No, well, I don't know. That's the other thing. Arsenal lost 13 games this season.
Yeah.
A third of the games they've played. It's unbelievable. It is pretty shocking, really. Does a team that lose 13 games deserve to get in the top 4?
Well, everyone else has been that poor. I was
Tottenham have lost 11 or 12. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it?
I think when I looked at the stat for West Ham, though, I think we've only won 9 games since November.
Yeah, I mean...
And how we're still up there.
I know. Is
Is
that telling us that,
it's poor quality?
Poor quality, you know what I mean? Because unbelievable. But who's good? One position where the quality has not been poor is the race for the league. Manchester City versus your boys West Ham. We were in here for the prediction battle last week, and you predicted that West Ham would win the game. Mark Noble's last game and everything. When it went 2-0 up, I'm at home watching it. I was like, Nicky's actually right. They're actually going to win, right? But then as soon as that second half started, that was the killer, wasn't it? As soon as the second half started, they got one back. Then they got the second. Then they got the penalty. You're thinking... I actually think that penalty was the league there. They could have won the league with that penalty. When Mahrez stepped up to take it, I was like, why are they making him take it for? I've seen him miss loads.
De Bruyne should have taken it.
Yeah, why didn't De Bruyne take
him
it?
away all the time. I think it was a crazy decision, to be honest with you. But in terms of the game...
Yeah, tell us about the game, because you were there.
We was top draw.
Yeah,
to be honest with you, we were top draw. I always expected that, and I looked at some of the comments from when we done a prediction, and why does he turn up this and think that they're a big thing? I know how well we can perform, and that's the thing about, and I know when the occasions when we do turn up. Look, we've had that Europa League disappointment. We bounced back at Norwich. They've not really got much else to concentrate on. I thought we're going to give these a go. We've given Liverpool a go. We've given Chelsea a go, both at our place. So I know that we can turn up. And we did turn up. It was, listen, I think the 2 goals that they scored were quite fortunate. I'm not saying that they didn't have a lot of the ball. I'm not saying that they didn't create a lot of chances. But a lot of the game, we sort of stifled them. In terms of clear-cut chances, we reduced them to very few. And let's not forget, we had a couple of chances ourselves.
The chance that Antonio
the Antonio one.
Bowen had another one as well.
And the Bowen one that was sort of cleared off the line. That could have ended up being a 3-4-1.
Yeah.
But it wasn't to be. We got the draw. I think both sets of fans were happy on the day that it was a draw, because I think that could have gone either way. But that's the thing about West Ham. Never count West Ham out.
Mark Noble's last game, what was that like? The emotions there?
It was emotional. Obviously, like I know a lot of other teams, fans don't really understand the connections, but we have a real affiliation with the academy. We've had a lot of academy players, we've got Declan Rice as it is now, but we've had Rio, Lampard. None of them have ever stayed, and he stayed for his whole career. Relegation.
How many times do you see that a player stay the
whole
time?
Yeah, I don't think you'll see it again.
Yeah,
I don't think you'll see it again. And he's been an absolute fantastic servant. Never won anything, we've never won anything, so it's not really his fault. But a fantastic servant to the club. Someone I'm very proud to have been able to watch throughout his career. I was there at his debut, and I was there at his last game. And I will. Well, he technically got one more because we go to Brighton, but I will be there. And I'm unbelievably proud of Mark. He's you know,
Guardiola went up to him at the end and had some words to say to him.
Yeah, but I
has
think
a lot of respect for him as a player. That's any player that's done that, that's stayed at a club for that amount of time. Any player who's stayed in the game for that amount of time is a top draw professional.
And there's always been questions. He should have got an England cap. When you look at some of the players that did get England caps, like Winks, he should have, like 15, 16, he should have had an England cap at least. And when you look at, you know, a player throughout their whole career to have no recognition of you know, because he was superb. You know, he could have played for Ireland. He probably could have got 100 caps for Ireland. But he turned that down because he always, you know, his dream was always to play for England, and that never quite come about. He should have at least got one cap, I think. But he's a boy that grew up in the same. We used to play in the same fields as him. You know, when he was growing up, we come from the same area. You know, very West Ham based area, Canning Town. I come from. And I remember him as a little boy, you know, academy boy, and people were telling me, "Oh, you want to watch him? He's going to be a good player." I was a few years older than him, but he's been superb.
What's he going to do now?
He'll go back into the club.
Yeah, management maybe one day, because he was a club captain, wasn't he?
Yeah,
He's quite a quiet captain, wasn't he?
Yeah, it wasn't. It was always. He's a respected sort of member of the squad. He was one of them people that was sort of always seemed to be the one to bed people in to the club. I don't think we can afford to lose someone like that around the club. You know, if I was Golden Sullivan, I'd be slapping a contract for life and just say, look, whatever role you want, just within the club, just take it. You know, whether you want to wash the bloody kit or, you know, or coach the first team or whatever, he should always be around the club. I don't think he should ever let him go. We've let people like him go before, and we shouldn't.
Carfix says this was the best year for us to get top four. And I think he's on about Arsenal, one game a week and our rivals being weak. Next year, there is no chance playing Thursday, Sunday. Going back to the league, obviously drop points there by Man City, but they're still in the driving seat. Liverpool play tonight. Liverpool versus Southampton. Southampton away. Liverpool, of course, just before we get to that Southampton game, they had the FA Cup final. Winning that game on penalties again against Chelsea. Chelsea now have lost 4 finals in a row.
It's 5. I believe it's 5.
5. Sorry, 5. 5 Wembley appearances, defeats in those 5 finals. And again, Chelsea will be kicking themselves because they had chances in the game. In particular, Pulisic.
It was rinse and repeat, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
From the League Cup, it was exactly the same. Chelsea had the chances. As you say, they will be kicking themselves. I see you do a watch-along with the guys and all
It's
that.
Brilliant watch-along. Fu, Wizzy and Doyle on that watch-along were epic.
But, yeah, it's they will be kicking themselves, I'm sure. Listen, there's going to be more trouble. Well, if they find an owner, I've heard that's gone into a little bit of
with Chelsea, they were saying yesterday that now the deal's in a little bit of trouble because they don't know. Abramovich is still not giving assurances over where the money will go. You know, if that don't get done, Chelsea could go out of business.
Yeah.
I mean, problems off the field. Means they still can't buy no players until that gets done. You've already seen players like Rudiger and that are leaving. And it's a disappointing season for Chelsea, isn't it? Because, all right, they won the Super Cup, World Cup. But that's, you know, you beat 2 teams to win that. I mean, domestically, they've won nothing.
Yeah, let's be honest as well. When they, you know, after a couple of signings in the summer as well, they thought they was going to be up there competing for the league.
Yeah. A lot of people, there were some people who made them their favourites to win the league.
And they have been absolutely nowhere near.
20 odd points off it.
Yeah, nowhere near that. They've got to 2 cup finals and lost them. Went out late stages of the Champions League, but they've gone out, you know. They've done nothing. And then when you see the uncertainty that's going on, you know, there's going to be people, you know, especially with what's going on at the minute, there's going to be people, I'm thinking of one in particular, that's going to be looking at his agent this summer and going, get me out of here, like, as quickly as you can. Because, yeah, definitely. Because he's going to be thinking, like, he's getting on a little bit now, Lukaku. But he's going to be thinking there's too much uncertainty. And that's affected them on the field. But even before that, they was nowhere near the title. They was nowhere near catching. Like, you know, they're streets above Liverpool and
Todd
City.
Miller is a big Chelsea fan. We was regular here on DR Sports. Always appreciate your messages, mate. He says, why did you have to bring up the 5 in a row thing? He says, come on, man. Also, domestically, only Liverpool have won anything. But what I'm saying is, right, Todd, at the start of the season, you as a Chelsea fan, it couldn't have gone worse for Chelsea. Somebody like Todd would have been thinking, you know what, got Lukaku in now, we're going to have a great season. And it's been a disastrous season maybe not for as far as Chelsea goes, a team that's used to winning, it's been disastrous on and disastrous, even more disastrous off. And now, like you said, the uncertainty. Rudiger's leaving. Christensen apparently said to Tuchel he didn't want to play in the final.
Yeah.
I mean, what's going on?
Yeah,
I don't want to play in the final because I'm leaving and I want to protect myself.
You got problems there.
It's crazy.
Got big problems. And just going back to that comment there when he says only Liverpool have won anything. If you remember back to the beginning of the season, and I'm talking about pundits, YouTube personalities and all that, they didn't have Liverpool winning anything. Nowhere near the title. That's for sure. They had Man United and Chelsea challenging Man City. So, both of them clubs have. I mean, Man United. What's happening there is a joke. But
for Liverpool, winning the FA Cup, they've won the Carabao Cup now. The quadruple is still on. If they're going to get that quadruple, they have to win tonight to put pressure on Manchester City. Even then, it's still going to be difficult for them, but they have to win tonight to put pressure on. And if they don't win tonight, it's over. If they don't win tonight, City the league is City's.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you were saying to me before, right, with another one of your off-the-radar predictions, which, you did say to me that you thought that West Ham would win, and it nearly came off. You're saying to me that you fancy Southampton tonight.
I do fancy it. Yeah, I fancy something to happen tonight. Because it's a high-pressure game. They've played 120 minutes on Saturday. That's not easy. Yeah. Especially late kick-off as well. I see Klopp's already sort of pre-making excuses for it, isn't he? I think privately he's conceded the title. And I think he's going to be looking at them tonight and just say, look, they want to win at all costs.
If ever a team would not want to do any favours for Liverpool, it's Southampton, right? Southampton, where a lot of Liverpool fans call them Liverpool B, because of the amount of players that they've taken off of them. Van Dijk, Mane, Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Lallana.
Well, Oxlade-Chamberlain came indirectly, but Lallana.
There's loads.
They've taken Danny Ings, lots of players from Southampton. Southampton will not be looking to do Liverpool any favours. Southampton are one of those teams that, even though they've had a really weird season, they can turn up sometimes against the big team. Liverpool got a great record against them.
Set pieces, Rob.
But they can turn up. And Ward-Prowse. It's their last game. I saw last night from when you're playing against a team that they've got nothing to play for, but it's their last game. All the flags are put out, all the things.
The fans are up for it.
The fans are up for it. There's nice bit of nice weather. It's not going to be an easy game. Southampton are play at a high tempo. They'll want to get a result. It's not an easy game for Liverpool.
And
not an easy one.
Sometimes comments from the manager don't help as well, because why do we have to play on Tuesday? We could have played 120 minutes, blah, blah, and things like that wind the opposition up. They think, well, why should you be any different? You've gone as far as you can in every competition. That's not anybody else's fault but yourselves. Yeah. But when you look at,
must say it is strange that they had to play on a Tuesday. It's
strange, Rob,
right,
but
because they could have let him play on the Wednesday.
But they've had they can't because of the Europa League final. They're not allowed to. They're not allowed to play on the Europa League final day. But when you look at earlier on in the season, when all these COVID cases were coming about, they was making themselves have a nice little rest, and these games had to be fitted in somewhere. I'd rather play them in the middle of the season than having to play them all at the end of the season. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
Adrian Sheikh says their injuries and sanctions have derailed the season, in my opinion, for Chelsea. Plans for a 60,000 stadium and bring in a top academy recruitment, and then you don't need to spend 100 million on a player who doesn't suit you. But
60,000 small fry, Rob, isn't it?
Jay says, "Come on, Robbie. Chelsea have not had a disaster. They've had many injuries and an ownership crisis. They still came third and made it to 2 finals, which they lost on penalties. I would do anything for Arsenal to be in that position. Jay, what you have to do is you have to look at it and you have to say to yourself, look at Chelsea Football Club. They're a winning club over the years. At the moment, they're ahead of Arsenal. Every year in, year out. If Abramovich was in charge right now, and we were talking about this the other day, he might be thinking about Tuchel's job.
He definitely would be.
He might be thinking about Tuchel's job. He'd be like, I gave you a load of money to spend. You haven't won me any, he doesn't want to hear it that it's only on penalties. He's like, you got a finals, we ain't won nothing. We've been miles off in the league. I think that would be the one that would really be upsetting him. The fact that they were miles off in the league. And so I don't think it's been a good season for Chelsea. Maybe, yeah, if that was Arsenal, you could say, yeah, you know what, decent season for Arsenal. We made progress. But for Chelsea, champions of Europe, I don't think it's been a good season at all.
There's levels, isn't there?
Yeah, I don't think, we was chatting to Matisse at the weekend and he said it weren't a good season. What's your prediction for tonight?
I'm going to go 2-1 to Southampton.
Serious?
Yeah, listen, I've got no basis of it, but I'm just saying, like, weirder things.
It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be an easy game, but I do think Liverpool being Liverpool, I think they'll get the job done. We've seen them in the past few weeks,
It's when these teams become shaky. I'll tell you, we played Manchester City the other day. Manchester City have been superb all season. They was like an open book. If we'd have got a few more balls up to Antonio, he was causing him all sorts of trouble. Like, teams start to wobble at this time of the season. Pressure and all of that does weird things to people. When pressure's on someone and off of others, it can do weird things in football. But, yeah I'm going to go Southampton.
Lewis Brown says 3-1 to Liverpool. 5-0 to Liverpool, says Todd Miller. Ryan says 3-1 to Liverpool. 4-0 to Liverpool, says 6 times. But I'm a bit like you, I do think Liverpool will win. I think it's going to be a very tough game tonight. It wouldn't surprise me a draw, but I see something like probably like a 2-1 to Liverpool, scraping it. Because I'm going off of even what I saw with your game where, you saw City's energy levels weren't the same.
No.
And they didn't have to play extra time at the weekend. And that really stretched Liverpool, you know what I mean? So it's going to be a really tough game for Liverpool. Let's switch our attentions to the bottom. Who's going down, Nicky, right? It's one of Burnley, Leeds or Everton. We know that Watford and Norwich have already gone. Southampton in 15th are safe. But as it looks, it's like this. Burnley played 36, 34 points. Leeds played 37, 35 points. Got a very vital point in the last minute of their game at the weekend. Everton played 36, 36 points. Got beaten at home to Brentford. Who's going down? And also, as we're mentioning that Everton-Brentford game, I don't know if you watched that game. What did you make of the incident? I thought leading up to the sending off, which changed the game because Everton were on top. Should Richarlison have had a penalty for he was getting his shirt pulled off him, wasn't he?
That's another one, isn't it? With a shirt pulling. I think when it comes to that sort of thing, they need to be more consistent with that because, you see the other week someone got a slight tug. You see the Tottenham and Arsenal game.
Yeah.
That a slight tug of the shirt, a slight nudge in the back. They're giving penalties, and then all of a sudden he's trying to rip the shirt off of him.
I thought it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I thought that was a nailed-on penalty.
But how can that
he
be a
nearly
penalty?
tore his shirt off, and he then even when he did it the first time, he still had hold of it. Now Richarlison's a guy that always falls over, always goes to ground. He didn't in this case. I guess he couldn't because the guy was just holding onto his shirt.
Yeah.
And then they go at the other end and they get a player sent off. Quite rightly, he was the last man. And that changed the game completely. And that, Lampard was very angry about that decision. And I can see why. And again, I think that's an occasion where VAR should be getting involved because VAR should be saying to the referee, you know what? Go and look back at that incident. If that was in the box and that was a corner, I've seen some of those, and that they've given those.
Yeah, yeah.
It was ridiculous to me.
It was. At the end of the day, they ended up with 9 men, Everton, and Rondon got sent off pretty late. That was reckless.
That's a definite penalty.
But that could affect them for the next 2 now. You lost 2 players.
Well, they've only got one fit centre half.
One fit centre half. They've still got some tough games to play. Everton.
Still got to come to Arsenal.
Yeah,
they've got Crystal Palace during the week.
That's not easy.
It's at home where they're strong, but without much of a defence, and you're playing against a Crystal Palace team
who have got all sorts of talent up front.
Brilliant talent up front.
Yeah.
That's a big worry for them.
Yeah, and that could affect them. I still think between the 3 of them, Everton have just got enough. I think if they get another point, I think they're all right.
Like you said, let's look at the games, right? So they've got that game. It's a very, very tough game now against Crystal Palace, right? Because Crystal Palace are nobody's mugs. I remember when they came to the Emirates, they should have beaten us.
Yeah, yeah.
They're a good side. And like you said, their strength is in attack. Zaha, Eze, these sort of guys. You don't want these guys coming at you. You've only got one fit centre-back.
I'm telling you, mate.
Right, so
talent
that's not going to be an easy game, right? And it's a must-win game for Everton because their last game of the season, they're playing against Arsenal. Arsenal are playing at home. Arsenal just had that horrible performance during the week. They have to win. Arsenal know they have to win the game to put pressure on Tottenham. You don't want to be going into that last game as Everton having to win that game. They've already got a really shocking record at the Emirates as well, right? Burnley have a game in hand as well, remember. Their game in hand is away at Aston Villa during the week. Tough, but
doable.
Burnley, they nearly got a point at least at the... I thought Tottenham, they had a couple of chances.
They've also got... who's come in, he's done well as Weghorst. And I think I think they've got enough to get something at Villa as well.
Yeah.
Because what Burnley are is they're a team, when the game gets tough, they get rough, and with a couple of, I think they've got a few fancy players, Villa. Sometimes, they're not up for that sort of thing, do you know what I mean? So, I don't know, man. This is a tough one to call. I still fancy Leeds to go down.
Leeds' last game of the season, away at Brentford. So let's just look at all of their last games, right? Yeah, Leeds away at Brentford. Brentford are a good side. Came back into that. I know it was down to 10 men at Everton, but they were up against it. Crowd against them, everything. Came back into that game and played some really good football. Thomas Franks managed them well.
Yeah.
And they look good. Christian Eriksen had a free roll. He was just spraying the ball all over the place. You don't want to be going there. Leeds, last game of the season, their fans celebrating them staying in the league. Fantastic season. Not the sort of place you want to be going to, but that's where they got to go.
Yeah.
Then you've got last game of the season for Everton, of course, is at Arsenal. Got to come to Arsenal. Arsenal needing to win that game, even though I think the top 4 thing's dead. But regardless of that, they want to win the last game, especially in front of their home fans. Tough ask for them. And Burnley at home to Newcastle. Newcastle, and it'd be another tough game. Newcastle, as we saw the other night, great, but not being as good sometimes on the road. And Burnley fighting for who's staying up? Who's going down?
Leeds.
Leeds
are going to go down, yeah.
It could be done and dusted.
I just think I think the other 2 will pick up points in the week. So I think the 2 games in hand, I think both of them will pick up points somewhere along the line. Everton are going to find it tough. But if they get a point, Everton, I think they'll be okay.
If they get 3 points during the week,
then it's done.
They're done. They're safe.
They're safe,
If Burnley get 3 points, they wouldn't be safe, but they'd be in a great position going into that last game. It is going to come down, I think. I think Everton will be safe just about. But I think it could come down to it's going to come down to the last day. Leeds versus Burnley. And I think Leeds have got the harder game. I mean, going away to Brentford, I think it's a tough ask.
Yeah.
Imagine at the start of the season, Leeds fans would be saying, it if we've got any issues, our last game's away at Brentford.
Listen, I remember. I remember watching a Leeds channel when they was talking about West Ham once, and they was telling us, "You're managed by David Moyes. Well, Leeds are definitely going to finish above you. Blah blah. We ain't got to worry about relegation." But I think they're going down.
And the way that relegation has just creeped up on them has been very, very frightening.
I've been calling this.
Yeah, me too.
For
I looked at their fixtures.
Leeds,
I looked at their fixtures, Nicky, right, about a month ago, and I was like, oh my God.
No, but I even said this at the beginning of the season, Rob, when they still had Bielsa. And I thought, this guy's not the guy you need. You know, with the team you've got, he's not the guy. Like, they took everyone, and you normally see this, they took everyone by storm last year. But as I was saying, when we was talking about Arsenal, West Ham, and having to change things up and change dynamics of game and play the game rather than, you know, going with the same idea and the same philosophy, because you get worked out very, very easily in this league. If you're doing one thing, under Bielsa, they was 100 miles an hour, attack. At the first season, they caught a lot of people off guard. Second season, not so much. You know, people are wise to that sort of thing. And he had one plan. And I always said, I don't think he's a very good manager, because good managers are the ones that adapt to the games. And he never adapted to a game. You know, they've been beaten 6-0, 7-0, 5-1 in these games. They're minus 58 goal difference. It's shocking. But they won't hear any bad said about Bielsa, because he's the one that got them back to the league. But, you know, you've got to have more than that in the Premier League.
So because of that time when you was on that show and those Leeds fans said that, you want them to go down, don't you?
I don't like Leeds either, to be honest. To be honest, out of the three of them, Burnley are the one I prefer. I don't like Everton too much either, to be honest. But
you know what? I was driving home last night from Newcastle, and I was saying, you know what? Maybe I do want Burnley to go down. These long trips, man.
Listen, I'll take 3 northern teams dropping out the league and 3 southern teams coming up the league every time.
But to be honest, man, like whoever, and also I looked at it, I said, you know what? We normally go to Burnley and get a result, right? Everton, we don't win there. Right, you know what I mean? Actually, we win at Leeds as well, so maybe I should want one of them two to stay and Everton to go down. But listen, the worst team's going to go down. The league don't lie, and we're going to find out this weekend. Jay, going back to Chelsea, says, fair point, Robbie. It hasn't been a great season for them. What are your thoughts on the young player of the season, Conor Gallagher, for me? What about you? Maybe Bowen? Was Bowen? Is he in the player of the season or?
He's in a player.
He's in a player of the season.
Yeah, I think he's just past the young player. I think he's 25. So
Gallagher's had a great season. Saka is in there,
fantastic,
I know.
Yeah.
Foden.
Rice has got to be in there, surely.
Right, I think Rice is in there. Yeah, Rice is in there. How old's Rice?
22, 23.
We were arguing about this the other day and said, shouldn't the young player of the season be like young, almost like breakthrough player?
I think so.
You got players like, even like Saka. I know he's young, but he's an established guy now, isn't he? So is Rice. I think it should be guys like Gallagher, guys that have broken through this season. You know what I mean? I think they should change that category to breakthrough player of the season. Manchester City needs a new right back and a new CDM, says Anthony Gaming 67. Listen, anything they need, they can get, mate. Right? Official Moxie says, I think we all knew Everton were too good to go down, but no one predicted Leeds would self-destruct like they have done.
They're not up yet.
Everton ain't safe yet.
Yeah, they're not
Everton
safe.
Could lose their last 2 games.
Quite easily.
The players they've got missing, Everton could lose their last 2 games, definitely. Right. Nicky, I want us to get this from you now as we round up the show. Give me the top 4 and who's winning the league.
In order.
Yeah.
Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham.
Okay. Right. Who's going down? We know already Norwich and Watford are gone.
Norwich, Watford, Leeds.
Leeds. I think I'm going to agree with you on both counts.
To be fair, though, what an exciting last day this is going to be, especially if Liverpool win tonight as well. Yeah. There's a top 4
all
race.
All goes down to the last day.
A league title race and a relegation race.
Yep, it all goes there. Even with the top 4, like you said, it goes down to the last day, which is what Sky and all that love. But listen, it's been great having you on, Nicky.
No
Thank you
problem.
very much. Don't forget, to keep it locked here on DR Sports. Tomorrow, we've got a brilliant watch-along for you. It's the Europa League final, right? Rangers versus...
Cut me out. Don't call me up.
Well, you're not on it, are you?
I'm not going to watch it anyway, so...
Are you going to watch?
Nah.
Do you want Rangers to beat Frankfurt?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Well, we've got 2 Rangers fans in the house for that final. They are absolutely buzzing for it. So make sure you check out the Europa League final here on DR Sports, right? It's going to be right here, so make sure you check it out. With the Rangers fans in the studio, we're all rooting for Rangers. Rangers versus Eintracht Frankfurt. At the weekend, it's not going to be the Saturday football show. It's going to be the Sunday football show because, of course, we got all those games on the last day. So make sure you check that out as well. We'll be bringing you all of the twists and turns and the ups and downs of the last day. And, of course, we've got the Champions League final here on DR Sports as well. That's coming up next weekend. That's going to be huge as well. Lots of things happening. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Nicky's channel, West Ham Fan TV, if you want brilliant West Ham content, and subscribe here to DR Sports. And we'll see you on the next one.